Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. The top story. US government shutdown has hit a grim milestone. 36 days and counting, the longest in American history, and Americans are feeling the pain. Flights are being slashed because air traffic controllers aren't showing up. 41 million people have lost food stamps. Federal workers like single mother Stephanie Rogers are choosing between groceries and bills. The cost? $14 billion in permanent economic damage, and there's still no end in sight. Here's a report by Debangana Datta.
"36 days. That's how long the United States government has been shut down. It's now officially the longest and most damaging shutdown in American history. But this time, something is different. This isn't just about delayed services or closed museums. This is about a president caught between his words and his actions. President Donald Trump has publicly acknowledged the damage.
Countless public servants are now not being paid, and the air traffic control system is under increasing strain. We must get the government back open soon, and really immediately. We have to get it up. We have the hottest economy we've ever had, and it's affecting the stock market now a little bit.
That's a dramatic break from every shutdown before this one. And now the consequences are cascading. On Wednesday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy ordered a 10% cut in flights at 40 major U.S. airports. Why? Because 13,000 air traffic controllers have been working without pay for over a month. 20 to 40% of them aren't even showing up anymore.
There'll be frustration. We are working with the airlines. They're going to work with passengers. But in the end, our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible. The administrator is going to talk about all of the tools we're going to deploy. One of them, though, is going to be that there is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations.
Over 3 million travelers have already been affected. Airlines are scrambling to cancel flights, and the message from the administration: this is pressure, deliberate pressure, to force Democrats to cave. But behind these numbers are real people, people like Stephanie Rogers. She's a microbiologist at the FDA in Colorado, a single mother of two, and she hasn't been paid since October 1st.
I can't pay my bills. I don't know how to balance my bills, because how long are we going to go determines how long my money will last.
She's rationing food, raiding her retirement savings. Her unemployment claim was denied due to a coding error. And she's one of 1.4 million federal employees in this exact situation. 41 million Americans have lost their food stamp benefits. Economic data has gone dark. The government can't even release the monthly jobs report. Goldman Sachs estimates this shutdown will cost the U.S. economy up to $14 billion in permanent losses. And still no end in sight. This isn't just a government shutdown anymore. It's a test of how much pain Americans can endure before someone blinks. With Debangana Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Joining me is my colleague Rohit Sharma from Washington. Rohit, break it down for us. We understand that there's a shutdown, but what does this mean? How does it move forward? What are the numbers for Donald Trump to really get the government going yet again?
Well, look, the number is 60 senators have to agree. They have 51. They need at least 9 more Democrats to be able to vote to reopen the government. And this is a classic, politics being played by Democrats. They knew the election was important. They posted as far as after the elections. And as soon as the Democrats won the election in Virginia, New Jersey, and New York, we saw a letter released by Senator, the Democratic leader in Senate and in the House, saying that they want to work with Republicans to open the government. Now, as of right now, we just got a news that the Republicans are willing to work and offer Democrats that federal workers who have been laid off by Trump administration. They would add a clause to rehire all of them if Democrats agree to open the government. So I think essentially the ball is in the court of the Democrats, how soon they will be able to work. We understand there's going to be a meeting at lunch where Senate leadership from the Democratic Party will discuss this internally and make a determination as to how soon they can reopen the government.
Well, a discussion amongst the Democrats. There was a meeting with the Republican senators of Donald Trump. We'll have to wait and see where this is headed. Rohit Sharma, for now, thank you so much for joining us. Now, New York City has its youngest first lady ever, and she got there through a hinge match. At just 28, Syrian-American artist Rahma Duwaji went from swiping right to shaping history. The acclaimed illustrator designed her husband Zohran Mamdani's viral campaign identity while staying completely out of the spotlight. Now, as he becomes NYC's first Muslim mayor, she's redefining the role, bold, political, and unapologetically herself, starting with what she wore at the victory event, a dress created by Palestinian-Jordanian designer Zaid Hijazi. Here's a report by Debangana Datta.
Meet Rahma Duwaji. At just 28, she's about to become the youngest First Lady New York City has ever seen. But here's what makes her fascinating. She did not want any of this attention. Duwaji is a Syrian-American multimedia artist based in Brooklyn. And she's not just any artist. Her work has appeared in The New Yorker, The Washington Post, BBC, and London State Modern. Her illustrations explore identity, sisterhood, and Middle Eastern themes. Bold, political, and apologetic. She earned a master's degree from the School of Visual Arts and describes her work as examining the nuances of communal experiences through drawn portraiture and movement. Now, how did this acclaimed artist end up as New York's First Lady? A dating app, specifically Hinge. In 2021, Rahma and Zohran matched, and as Mamdani later joked, there is still hope in those dating apps. By October 2024, they were engaged. That December, they had a lavish nikah ceremony in Dubai, overlooking the Burj Khalifa. All white florals, sunset views, pure romance. Then came a quiet civil ceremony at the New York City clerk's office. Just the two of them and a photographer. Simple and intimate. They followed it up with a 3-day celebration at Mamdani's family estate in Uganda. But Duwaji did not just marry a politician. She helped create one. Behind the scenes, she was instrumental in designing Mamdani's entire visual identity. Those bold campaign colors, yellow, orange, pink, that became his signature, her influence. She managed parts of his viral social media strategy, helping craft the creative tone that made him stand out. Yet, she stayed almost completely out of the spotlight. So much so that opponents accused Mamdani of hiding his wife. His response, direct and fierce. You can critique my views, but not my family. On Tuesday night, Zohran Mamdani made history as New York City's first Muslim mayor and its youngest in over a century. In his victory speech, he called Duwaji Hayati, Arabic for my life, telling her there is no one I would rather have by my side. As the city celebrates, attention has turned to Duwaji's own political voice. Her artwork has long highlighted Palestinian solidarity, criticized what she calls Israeli war crimes, and condemned American imperialism. She's used her platform to support activists like Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia graduate facing deportation over his Palestinian advocacy. An artist's duty is to reflect the times, she said, quoting Nina Simone. I believe everyone has a responsibility to speak out against injustice. So as Zohran Mamdani prepares to lead America's largest city, Rahma Duwaji remains exactly who she's always been. An artist who lets her work speak louder than any title ever could. And at 28, she's redefining what it means to be First Lady on her own terms. With Debagna Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Days after US President ordered the Department of Defense to immediately resume nuclear testing and testing of nuclear weapons ahead of his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea's port city of Busan, Russian President Vladimir Putin followed suit. While speaking to his Security Council, the Russian president said, should the US or any signatory to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, that's CTBT, conduct nuclear weapons tests, Russia would be under an obligation to take reciprocal measures. Moscow has not carried out the testing of nuclear weapons since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. But tensions between US and Russia have escalated over Trump's growing frustration in bringing Putin to the table and ending the Russia-Ukraine war.
Россия всегда неукоснительно придерживалась и придерживается обязательств по договору о всеобъемлющем.
Russia has always strictly adhered to its obligations under Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and we have no plans to withdraw from them. At the same time, as I stated in my address to the Federal Assembly in 2023, should the United States or other treaty signatories conduct such tests, Russia would be compelled to take appropriate reciprocal measures.
The US fired an unarmed intercontinental ballistic missile, that's an ICBM. The Air Force Global Strike Command said it conducted the test of an unarmed Minuteman III ICBM from the Vandenberg Space Force Base. Now, the test, designated GT-254, evaluated the ongoing reliability, operational readiness, and accuracy of the ICBM system. The unarmed rocket landed near the Ronald Reagan Ballistic Missile Defense Test Site in the Marshall Islands. On the 30th of October, President Trump ordered the Department of War to resume testing of nuclear weapons after a gap of 33 years. The U.S. administration has revoked about 80,000 non-immigrant visas since Trump assumed office on the 20th of January. Cases involving offenses like driving under the influence, assault and theft have led to these cancellations, and according to Reuters, about 16,000 were linked to DUI cases, around 12,000 to assault and nearly 8,000 to theft. The cancellation is a part of Trump's immigration crackdown policy. A large number of migrants have been deported, including individuals who claim to hold valid visas. Now, Tesla CEO Elon Musk could become the world's first trillionaire or might risk to walk away entirely. This would be decided in a Tesla shareholders meet where a key vote on Musk's new package will take place at that annual meeting. But the added risk is when the company had warned that Musk may pursue other interests if the paycheck were denied.
Tonight at Tesla's annual shareholder meeting, a vote that could change the course of the company and potentially launch Elon Musk into an orbit no one else has ever entered. The issue on the table: a compensation proposal for Musk that could be worth up to $1 trillion over the next decade, contingent on Tesla hitting milestones none have ever seen. To unlock the full payout, Musk and Tesla must hit ambitious targets, reaching an $8.5 trillion valuation, ramping up production, releasing mass robotics, dominating full self-driving, and more. But Musk's performance-linked compensation is unimaginable. He will get as many as 423.7 million additional shares of Tesla stock over the next 10 years. This translates to a massive 12.7% stake in the company. Those shares would be worth about $1 trillion, assuming the company reaches the $8.5 trillion market cap needed to have Musk qualify for the full potential payout. Musk currently holds a little more than 15% of the company, making him the richest man in the world. Other big investors include Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Geode Capital, Capital World and Norges Bank Investment Management. But not everyone's on board. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, Norges, the 7th largest institutional shareholder in Tesla, has declared it will vote against the package. In a statement, it said the sheer size, dilution and risk are too much. The biggest US public pension fund, the California Public Employees Retirement System, or CalPERS, is also opposing the move. On the flip side, Tesla's board and Musk say that this vote is critical. Chair Robin Denholm says if the vote fails, Musk might walk, taking the company's momentum with him. If the proposal is approved, Musk's share could rise from around 15 to 16% today to more than a quarter of Tesla's voting power, giving him unprecedented control. Analysts warn a negative vote could plunge the stock more than 10% amid leadership uncertainty. Meanwhile, markets expect the 54-year-old Musk to get his way. On Wednesday, Tesla shares rose more than 4% against the S&P 500 and Dow, which were up only 0.5%, a hint that market is bracing for something big. For Tesla, the stakes aren't just about one man's payout. It's about how the company positions itself for the future of mobility, robotics, AI, and whether investors believe Musk is the one to lead that charge. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
That's Pakistan for you. Its latest drama, clean chits, blame games and border fire. Asim Munir's image polished, Faiz Hamid vilified and Ishaq Dar breaks the silence. How long before Pakistan's denial turns into self-destruction? That's our statecraft today. Pakistan is at it again, rewriting its own mess, repackaging its failures and rehearsing its favorite act, the blame game. As Kabul burns, Islamabad is busy whitewashing its generals. The new national project giving Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir a clean chit while dumping every ounce of Afghan chaos on Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid, the man who once sipped tea in Kabul like a self-styled kingmaker. Ishaq Dar's latest salvo, accusing Hamid's 2021 Kabul adventure of triggering the current bloodbath, has reignited the civil-military blame festival. But this isn't just a quarrel between khaki jackets. It's a crisis of identity, credibility and control. Can Pakistan's generals ever admit their own sins, or will they keep laundering history to protect their thrones? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. For decades, Pakistan's Afghan policy has been written in the ink of duplicity. Jihad for depth, diplomacy for dollars, denial for damage control. From the ISI's Soviet-era experiments to the Taliban's rebirth under its shadow, Pakistan's fingerprints are everywhere. Now, as terror bites back and the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan bleeds Pakistan, the establishment wants to turn one tea photo into a national scapegoat. Faiz Hamid's visit is the new national excuse. But can Islamabad really wash away 4 decades of strategic miscalculations by blaming one man's cup of tea? It was meant to be symbolic. The ISI chief casually sipping tea in Kabul days after the Taliban seized power in 2021. The world saw confidence. Pakistan saw triumph. But behind that smug smile, history was already brewing its revenge. The Taliban's return, aided by Pakistan's silent applause, unleashed what the generals feared the most, the rebirth of TTP, the monster they had buried but never killed. When Ishaq Dar quipped that Hamid's engagement or the cup of tea came at a great cost, he wasn't exaggerating. The cost has been paid in Pakistani blood. Dozens of soldiers dead, cities rattled, borders burning, and yet, instead of rethinking its policies, Pakistan has chosen to rewrite the narrative. Faiz Hamid is now the villain, Asim Munir the savior. The system remains the same. It's not an investigation, it's image management. The Pakistani establishment is desperate to shield Field Marshal Asim Munir, whose tenure has been haunted by a violent resurgence of militancy and a diplomatic deadlock with Kabul. So the formula is simple: shift the blame to Hamid. Pin every blast, every bullet, every border clash on one man's 2021 adventure. The army's loyal mouthpieces have begun the chorus. Hamid's Taliban outreach failed. Hamid emboldened radicals. Hamid underestimated the TTP. Meanwhile, Munir, the disciplined reformer, is portrayed as the man cleaning up his predecessor's chaos. It's a convenient fiction, but in Pakistan, fiction is often the foundation of national policy. To understand this drama, rewind to the 1980s. Pakistan turned itself into the world's jihad factory, channeling American dollars and Saudi ideology to fuel the anti-Soviet resistance. The ISI learned one lesson: control Afghanistan or lose your strategic depth. When the Taliban rose in the 1990s, Islamabad, or particularly Rawalpindi, backed them as friendly rulers who would keep India out. The logic was crude but clear. A pliant Kabul meant a stronger Rawalpindi. That playbook survived 9/11, the US invasion, and every regime change in Islamabad. Even as Pakistan joined the war on terror, it never stopped playing both sides. One detail enrages Islamabad more than any border clash: India's re-entry into Afghanistan. While Pakistan fumes, New Delhi quietly upgrades its mission in Kabul to an embassy, signaling renewed engagement and influence. For Islamabad, this is the ultimate nightmare, the very scenario it spent decades trying to prevent. And ironically, it's the direct result of its own policies. By alienating the Taliban and alienating itself, Pakistan has opened the door for India to step in. It's poetic justice and geopolitical karma. Today, Pakistan stands at a crossroads it has crossed too many times. One path leads to introspection, the other to another cycle of war and denial. Khwaja Asif's warning of war isn't new. It's the same tired refrain that has haunted Pakistan's foreign policy for 40 years. From the Soviet war to the American one, from Taliban to TTP, Pakistan's Afghan adventures have only brought instability home. The guns may go silent in Istanbul, but the real war, the one within Pakistan's power corridors, is far from over. So the question isn't whether peace talks will succeed. The real question is, will Pakistan ever stop fighting itself? The story began with a cup of tea. It ends with a river of blood. Faiz Hamid may be the face of failure, but he's not its author. The system that created him still runs unchecked, protected by propaganda, polished by politics, powered by paranoia. Asim Munir's clean chit may clear him on paper, but on the battlefield, in the markets, at homes of the fallen, the verdict is already written. The Afghan crisis isn't just about Kabul's defiance or Hamid's missteps. It's about Pakistan's addiction to denial. And unless that addiction breaks, there will be no end to this war, not with Afghanistan, not within Pakistan, not in our lifetime. That's all on this edition of India Today Global. Stay tuned to India Today for all the latest news and updates. Goodbye and take care.